Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being here tonight at our Connect group. My name is Dominic Insenius. I'm the leader here at The Heart, and I'm so grateful to have you here with us. In tonight's group, we're going to have a few questions that are based around the message we had on Sunday morning. And if you weren't able to go to church or haven't listened to the podcast or anything like that, it's no worries. You can still be a part of the conversation here. It's all about taking steps in our journey of faith, not making sure you go to church or not. So I'm grateful that you're here tonight and excited for you to be a part of this conversation. We just finished up our message series at The Heart called Battle Ready, where we looked at what it means to have the power of forgiveness in our life and how understanding what it means to forgive and knowing the power of forgiveness can make us battle ready for any situation, any relationship we're going to face in the future. So we have a couple scriptures that we're going to look at, and I'll have the scriptures up on the screen, but there was Ephesians and the book of Mark and then the book of Hebrews. So you can look at those later on, or you can read them all before you get going with the questions. It's up to you guys. It's up to you how you want to do this. Now, the first question we're going to dig into tonight is I want to start talking about forgiveness, but what I want to know is I want you to describe a time when you were forgiven by someone else. Maybe you did something or wronged somebody or hurt somebody's feelings or something you said, whatever it was, and that other person forgave you. And I want you to describe that situation, and then I want to know how you felt being forgiven. How did it make you feel when this other person forgave you? And I want to be able to start this off because I want us to be able to look inside of ourselves when we deal with forgiveness. It's a difficult subject, so if we can talk through it together and kind of look at all aspects of forgiveness, it helps us to take steps. So I want to invite you to share. If it's your first time here, I want to invite you to be bold and brave and share from your heart kind of what you're thinking. When we share what we're thinking, we share our thoughts. It helps everyone take steps in their journey of faith. So let's take a few minutes to go around the room, describe a time when you were forgiven by someone in your life and how that made you feel. So let's take a few minutes to dig into that together. All right, for question 2, I want you to read one of the scriptures if you haven't already, and that's Ephesians chapter 4, verses 31 and 32. Now, after reading this scripture, what I want to know from you is why do you think it's so difficult for us to forgive people that have wronged us or hurt us? It's something that we all face, but why, in your opinion, is it so difficult to do that? And then kind of a second part to this, or a follow-up question is, why do you think that God forgiving us is connected to us forgiving others? Why is that a connection that this particular verse makes? With these kinds of questions, you guys, there are no wrong answers. I don't expect you to, Google it and be a theologian. I just want to know from your heart, from your opinion, why do you think it's so difficult to forgive people who have wronged us? And why, in this particular verse, is God's forgiving us connected to us forgiving others? So let's take a few minutes to dig into that. All right, for this third question, one of the things that we talked about on Sunday, and I want to share it with you here, is sometimes we think that forgiveness is either this on and off switch, right? Like you have forgiven someone or you haven't. Or maybe someone would ask you, have you forgiven that person for what they have done? And you're expected to say no or yes. And I feel like sometimes we are pressured to say yes, or we want to seem like a good person, or we don't want to seem hateful. So we say, yes, we have forgiven them. And really what we find out is it's not all the way, or there's still some things that we're battling with or dealing with. And one of the things we talked about is that forgiveness can, and I believe that it is, a journey. That forgiveness can be a journey. And rather it being, yes, you have forgiven them, or no, you haven't, it's maybe a process of being on the way to forgiving someone. So what I want to ask you and get your opinion here and your thoughts is, changing your perspective of allowing yourself to see forgiveness in that particular way, rather than being an on and off switch and being a journey. How does that change a situation maybe you're dealing with? Somebody in your life that you want to forgive, or somebody in your life that has wronged you. How could that change that situation or that perspective if you think of that person and what happened? And instead of saying, yes, I have forgiven them, or no, I haven't, no being like you're really this harsh, unforgiving person, and yes, that you're okaying what they did and looking past it, but maybe it's a journey in the middle where you are taking steps in it. How does that change that situation that you are facing? So let's take a few minutes to dig into that. And again, I want to encourage you to be bold here and share what's going on, because when you share, you never know who else in the room is dealing with something similar and just doesn't know how to express their thoughts or doesn't know how to work through it. And you can help them take those steps in their journey. So let's take a few minutes and talk through that together as a group. All right, now, one of the other things we talked about on Sunday is when we have unforgiveness, that it gets in the way, it stands in the way of connection between us and God. And really, unforgiveness stands in the way of connection between us and anyone. It stands in the way of connection, period, because we can't be our whole self if a little bit of us is holding on to this unforgiveness that's back here. We have anger and sadness and all these things wrapped up into this unforgiveness. So what I want to know as we take steps into this week and into the rest of our life, really, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? What unforgiveness do you have that is keeping you from being able to be your whole self, your complete self? What unforgiveness are you holding on to? And I want to know this week, what steps are you going to take towards forgiveness in that area? We have to remember that forgiveness is not about saying what the other person did is okay. Forgiveness is about setting us free to be the people that God has created us to be. It gives ourselves permission to leave the prison that we have created for ourselves and step into who God has made us to be. So what steps are you going to take towards forgiveness in the areas to set yourself free from the prison that you have been in? Now, this is going to be the last question for tonight, so I'm going to leave you guys with this. I love that you were able to come to Connect Group tonight. I want to challenge you next week to invite someone who has never been to a Connect Group. Bring them with you so they can see that it's just a bunch of people trying to figure life out together, one group, 1 week at a time, and doing it together, getting in each other's messes together. The people around you in this room, they're in as much of a mess in their life as you are in yours. And when we can strip away those walls and those fake, pretending, whatever we're doing, if we can strip that away and say, this is who I am and this is what I'm dealing with, I think we'll find so much comfort in that people are dealing with the same kind of thing. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, a great evening, and I'll see you Sunday at 9:30 or 11 at the Heart. Love you guys. All right, bye.